I'm gonna do this.
What do you have to present at?
Here.
Oh.
So you can take it after the sunglasses on.
Good
then
thing
you can
Jason's
know
not. Or she,
Hey, I need a
Don't
water.
say anything about her videotape.
Okay. Today I will be informing the class about agriculture in Ireland. Ireland is a surprisingly diverse country when it comes to agriculture, and when looking at their top commodities, you may be surprised. What does someone think when they think about agriculture in Ireland? Most people will think that they produce a lot of sheep and a lot of potatoes, but this couldn't be further from the truth. My mom has visited Ireland 2 times, and each time she's come back, she's told me about all of the diverse agricultural things they have in their country. They're very prevalent in livestock, crops, and they are heavily dependent on their climate. Agriculture in Ireland is different from the United States because they have 8.6% of their population directly involved in production. In the United States, less than 2% of the population is directly involved in agricultural production. Ireland is a huge exporter of what they produce. You will see the importance of Ireland's climate come into play with what they produce when considering livestock and crops. Since Ireland exports a lot, you may consume a lot of what they produce. So let's discuss how they produce it and why it's important. Okay, I have a picture here of a general climate in Ireland. There's a lot of green, and you can see it's a very humid climate. So when considering Ireland's climate, it's very dependent on what they produce, or it tells them what they can produce. They're a very humid climate, and they have a lot of mild temperatures, so it makes it easy for them to implement agriculture. They're a small country with about 32,000 square miles of land, which can fit into Nebraska about 3 times. 60% of their land is used for agricultural production, and their number one resource, especially in agriculture, is their fertile land, which is only located in certain parts of the country. This makes Ireland a good choice for agriculture. On my next slide, I have some cows. So Ireland's livestock industry isn't as sheep dominated as one might think. They are a high producer of cattle, both in the beef and dairy sector. They produce a lot of beef products. 38% of what they produce in beef contributes to their gross agricultural output, which is their monetary amount of agriculture produces in their country. And 90% of the beef that they produce is actually exported, which makes it the number one exporter of beef in the European Union. Dairy is also a big contributor to their gross agricultural output, as it contributes about 30% of the money to that number. 85% of what they produce in the dairy world is exported. Their sheep production is relatively small compared to their cattle, as only 7% of what they produce goes towards the gross agricultural output. When you look at pigs, only 4% of what they produce goes towards the gross agricultural output. One may ask why they have so many cattle, and that is due to the fact that they have so much grass that grows naturally in their country, and so it's easy for them to raise cattle. For Ireland's crop production, I have a picture of potatoes here. They actually do produce potatoes, but not as much as you might think. Ireland's crop production is very limited by their climate. Their soil is only so fertile in certain parts of the country, and 81% of their agricultural land is used for grass. So they don't really do much crop or tillage farming. Potatoes, wheat, oats, and sugar beets only account for about 8% of their agricultural production. Cereal grains and silage and sugar beets are very high contributors to this number. Ireland has set records in the year 2000 and 2010, with their yields for wheat being number 1 and their yields for barley being number 2. Now that you know a little bit about Irish agriculture, let's discuss the main points of their agricultural industry and how they may be a little bit different from what you previously may have thought. Their climate makes Ireland a simple choice for agriculture. They have a huge beef and dairy sector which exports a lot of products, and so you probably have consumed some of those. This is due to the amount of grass that they have in their country. Ireland isn't all sheep and potatoes. They're a very diverse country that produces a lot of cheeseburgers.
18. I'm 18. 18. 18.